in California, came over from Michigan. His jokes aren't funny, but we laugh at his tummy. Red is older than you and me. So as we gather and sing together, we all laugh and try to remember all of our stories. They seem so boring. Red is older than you and me. Red is an old man. Red is a wise man. Lives in California. Came over from Michigan. His jokes aren't funny, but we laugh at his tummy. Red is older than you and me. He plays Jim Rummy with Congress honey. He may seem slow, but he's no dummy. You better be careful, he'll take all your money. Red is older than you and me. Red is an old man. Red is a wise man. Lives in California. From Michigan. His jokes aren't funny, but we laugh at his honey. Red is older than you and me.
Dad decided he wanted to make meatloaf, and so the Mercury News on Wednesday had the meatloaf recipe. He made meatloaf, and everybody on Bello had meatloaf because that's how much meatloaf he made.
Welcome to his son.
And then the other thing was, the funniest one was one of the ones that he decided he was going to make chili. He saw they had a chili cook-off, national chili cook-off, so he picked the national chili cook-off winning recipe. Unfortunately, he didn't dial it down because that was for 50 people. It served 50 at the National Chili Cook-Off, and Dad didn't put that down. So we actually had pots and pots and pots of chili in the house. Okay. And the neighborhood. But then Nancy actually were the ones that we have the most memories, and that was giving Dad a birthday cake that was made out of sponges. We put chocolate frosting all over these sponges and made this big cake, and he was all excited, and he cut into it and realized it was a sponge. He thought that was hysterical. We always did the thing where he'd sit down in his chair, ring the doorbell, make him get up. It was just silly stuff.
Stableman's daughter.
All the horse manure.
That were my best friends all the way through elementary school. And one was Bruce Peters, and the other one was Kent Bowles. Bruce lived actually about 100 yards from here. And Kent Bowles. And every time Christmas came around, Santa Claus would come around the class. He would walk in the classroom, the back of the classroom. He'd look around the class like this. He'd just go, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And everybody's turning, and here comes Santa Claus. And he'd look down, he'd find the aisle I'm sitting in, and he'd walk down the aisle, and he would pick up a book, and he would hit me in the back of the head. Then he would pick up a book and hit Bruce in the back of the head, or Kent on the back of the head. And it got to be the point, after about 5 or 6 years, I hated Santa Claus. Here comes the son of a bitch is coming at me again. Here he comes.
Why me every year?
So funny.
And it just took, finally I found out about it was I came home one day and I walked inside Mom and Dad's bedroom and there was a Santa Claus, the costumes laying on the bed.
Oh.
And I thought,
no.
What's Mom doing with Santa Claus?
How come Santa Claus lost his clothes in my mom's bedroom? That's a whole different story.
And it all made so much sense. Oh my God, that's the right guy sitting on the head. And from that point on, that's 3 or 4 years I had to do this. He would walk in, I would just put my head on the desk and
whack me
like this, and wait for him to come down. I wouldn't even look for him. Just whack me in the head, sit up and go.
Second grade, and Santa Claus had wingtip black shoes, just like my dad had. And I put 2 and 2 together a little earlier because...
Oh, you did not.
I was in second grade when I pulled Dad's beard down in the classroom, because he also made a beeline straight for me. And I was scared to death of him. I pulled the beard down, and Dad said, put it back up. And I was not like that. And now I was scared to death. I was scared to death.
Santa Claus for you. No Christmas presents for me.
I went home and searched for that red suit where I could not find it.
How do you find Will Smith in a snowstorm?
How do you find what?
This is
Will
obviously
Smith.
a red joke.
Will Smith in a snowstorm.
How?
You look for Fresh Prince.
And all of you were conveniently out of the house at that point. Like when I came home from school and there was a mannequin sitting in the house.
With the ball in her hand.
And I'm a naked mannequin, and I'm like, what the heck is
Well,
this
it could've
doing in
been
the
latex.
house? And Dad's like, I picked that up for you. And I'm like, why? And he goes, well, I thought you'd have fun with her and you could dress her. I'm like, and I remember calling,
Didn't understand
actually,
girls very well, did
and I remember calling Mike then saying, I'm a little worried about Dad. There was a massive candy cane hanging from the tree. I'm like, what is that? And he goes, I got it in the garbage. I thought that'd be fun to have at the house. And I'm like, I'd like to make a toast to the sister who lived up on the hill. She wouldn't, but her sister will.
No, it's others.
And second thought, here's to her sister.
Amen.
There we go.
I remember being in the car with him driving to the wedding, to my wedding, our wedding when I was getting married. And that was nice. And I see pictures over here.
Say more about this. So that was on Bellow Avenue when he picked you up, or where were you at?
Oh, yeah, I used to babysit for the local mortician. And so his wedding gift to us, his wedding gift to me was to use the limousine, the hearse. So,
To go 6 houses?
to go 6 houses, he insisted on it.
We did the
Yes.
same
We had the
thing.
same, we got the same deal.
We did the same thing from Nancy.
Same.
Was it a hearse or a limo?
It wasn't a hearse, it was a limo.
Okay.
Two old couples were having dinner at the house one night. And after dinner, the wives go to pick up the dishes and they go in the kitchen, they're cleaning dishes. And one guy's talking to the other guy and he says, you know, last night we had dinner at an incredible restaurant. The service was fantastic. Everything was great. It was just a wonderful place. And the guy goes, great, we love those restaurants. What's the name of it? And the guy goes,
He didn't like your joke.
what? What's the name of the flower? That famous flower. So the guy goes, daffodil? No. It's a really smells good. Carnation. No. It's red and they give it on Valentine's Day. Rose. That's it. Rose. Rose. What's the name of the restaurant we ate last night?
But Dad would wait for Greg to come over at night to get a hot loaf of Roma bread. And Dad gained weight during that whole time I dated Craig. And when I stopped, he was very sad to see that bread go away. I'm grateful.
But you got Steve.
And he got
I remember he asked me when I turned,
baked bread.
what do you do? What do you do? Like, I'm a college student, I work in Emporium. He goes, oh.
The man walks into the psychiatrist's office and talks to the receptionist and says, I need to see the psychiatrist. I think I'm invisible. And the receptionist replies, I'm sorry, he can't see you right now. So then he leaves. And he walks away. And a couple of minutes later, another man dressed all in saran wrap, only in saran wrap, marches right past the receptionist and walks all the way into the psychiatrist's office. And the psychiatrist looks up from his desk and goes, well, I can clearly see your nuts.
That's a wrap. I went golfing with Derek and Mike a few weeks ago, and Derek, which he uses religiously, is Red's Lynx driver with a head about as big as my fist from 1975. He hits it straight. I know Red never did. But
Every time I golf that, there's a little bit of me in that hole, in those hole-in-ones I get.
His face don't stop the clock. He chewed on nails, drank beer from pails, and never wore a sock. He hated cops, killed them by the score, and then for lunch he had a hunch.
Killed a dozen more.
One fine day he came our way with a pistol in his hand. We thought he'd shoot each galoot that stood upon the sand. He raised the gun, looked at none, and put it to his head. We all were glad and hoped that lad would soon be nice and dead. We heard a ring, the gun would bing, but the bimbo never dropped. But instead, off his head, a murdered cootie flopped.
I think he was actually offered an athletic scholarship in college. Definitely not an academic scholarship, but an athletic scholarship, and he couldn't take it because they were too poor and had to
And there was an issue with that with him and Clarence. because Clarence had to work to support the house, and Regina and Clarence thought that Dad got the free ride. But he never felt he got a free ride at all. So there's always been a lot of animosity towards that around, they're poor. And how do you support a household with no dad? Their father, so my dad's dad left the family when my dad was 4 or 5 years of age.
He was 1 year. He was less than 1 year old.
Was less than 1
He
year
was
old?
less than 1 year old.
And we actually...
Was he the baby?
Yeah.
A side story that says nothing, I don't mean to cut in your turn. But we drove up to Graygle one time with him, and he got to be in tears talking about how his dad had such little. He met his dad like 2 or 3 times in his life, and his dad came and was like when he was like maybe 12 or 13 years of age, Elaine, 7 or 8, came back to the house. He was in high school, and his dad did nothing but reprimand him for how poor his manners were. And my dad, he carried tears with that his whole life about the fact that.
You know that at the end.
Yeah,
Even at the end, there's one of the things that they
It was, you never could, you sit there and it means something to you about how you are able to go and show up. And his dad couldn't, and our dad didn't understand how come he could so
All the fathers and also mothers who raised families with sacrifice and generosity and love and effort.
Cheers.
And after finish that to me.
And then there's
Dennis.
when I was in high school, so as I'm getting older here, Charlie Caleb was one of my good friends in high school. And Charlie was, of all my friends in high school, Charlie was the guy who was the most dangerous of the bunch. Charlie got me into more trouble than you could shake a stick at. And Charlie loved it. He thought that was the funniest thing to get into trouble. And he would do the crazy things out there. So he came over to the house one time, and he had cherry bombs, a bunch of cherry bombs.
My dad would love
And
them.
so,
My
my dad loved firecrackers. So, anyway, we blew off a couple in the backyard, and
my dad, right in the middle.
and no, Dad came home, and when Dad came in, we said we gotta we gotta stop this. And Dad goes, "What are you guys doing out here?" And I go, "Dad, we just," and Charlie goes, "We got some firecrackers." Oh, great! This is so good. Let me take a look, and there's a big one. Wow, that's a big thing. So he goes, "Let's light it off." So he puts it now the backyard had a half fence going across half the backyard. And it was behind there was grass on the front part, and behind the fence was a dirt area that he would put the rubbish and that type of stuff. It was covered by the fence. And so he put the firecracker, the cherry bomb in between 2 planks, and he stands there. And he goes, "I got a match." He had a match, and he lights it. He lights it, and he stands there like this. And I go, "My God." So Charlie and I both grab him, and we pull him back about 10 feet. The thing blows, and it blows 2 boards off the fence up in the air, and the other fence is splintering all over the place.
It's a 10-minute stick of dynamite.
He goes, "What the did you guys got?" And he right away, he told me, "Get out of here. Just, I know the cops are going to be coming. Just get out of here." And so we did, because the neighbor behind us called the cops. And the cops came, and then
What? I don't know.
My kids were here about an hour ago, but they're gone. I don't know where they're at. You know,
It's the story of Dad's jail sentence.
So anyway, but so Dad had a thing for fireworks. He loved
He
firecrackers.
did love fireworks. He did.
And he loved bangs. The louder they are, the bigger they are.
Or by the sewer she lived, by the sewer she died. They said it was murder, but it was sewer suicide.
Dad had, obviously, the time that we lived there, we had a very different dad. I mean, funny. Yeah, we did. We had a very funny one. And I remember, I remember one time I got my first speeding ticket. I was
30 miles an hour on Pine?
Campbell.
That's the second one, okay.
Campbell Avenue. And I was 35, I was 25. And
She wasn't 35 years of age.
no, I just turned 18, so this one was going to stay with me for a while. And I was scared to death to tell Dad, just scared to death. And so I called up Mike and I said, "My God, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is the worst, I don't know what I'm going to do." And then Mike said, "Easy, I'll take care of it." So Mike came over that night and said, "Dad, I got a ticket. And I'm like, look at him like, why are you telling Dad you got a ticket? He goes, because I did. I got a ticket today. And I figured I would tell him I got a ticket and your ticket wouldn't look like any big deal. So the two of us went to driving school together.
Not only the Dad, we celebrate Dad.
Stanley
We
back up.
celebrate his birthday, and we celebrate a lot of fun things. Dad was a character, no doubt about it. But we don't seem to celebrate Mom too much at this point. So I want to celebrate Mom with Dad. And, I miss her.
Amen.
With full confidence, open my mouth, and Red sticks his finger in, and he goes for the flick. And there's this shooting pain, like nothing I've ever imagined before, and the tooth didn't even come out, it's hanging by a nerve. And at this point, my wise grandfather, who's renowned for this skill, decides that the best solution is to go to the other room and say, "Here, Mike, you deal with him." That's my grandpa.
There were lots of nice meals at the Currans, and they invariably started with grace. And while I said to myself, I will never ever forget this grace, because he said it 350 times in a row. So, could I ask the Curran kids to say that grace one time?
I lived a long time.
I've
Seen a lot of food go down the hatch.
But never have I had a better meal than this. So this
One time I was playing baseball, or pretending I was playing, but I had quite imagination for that type of stuff. And I pretended I was on the front lawn, and I was over by the Castro's driveway, and I took a broomstick. And I remember the broomstick, it was just a stick.
Did it have a broom on it?
No broom on it, just a broomstick.
Just a stick.
And I had the handle, I was swinging it bad. And I
not the
swung
window.
it, and it went through my mom and dad's
Yeah, I have no window.
bedroom window.
Yep, the big window.
And it made a perfect circle in the window. It broke the window in a perfect circle. And it was just about this big around. And this was during Holy Week. In fact, I think
It was a hole. You made a hole for Holy Week.
might have been Good Friday.
You're holding hand. They call it Good Friday, making a hole on Holy Week.
Well, I remember Good Friday because we couldn't do anything for the 3 hours.
You're right.
But we were off the rest of the day. So I was playing baseball and I broke the window. And now, obviously, we're just down the street from St. Christopher's. So my dad could not get the window fixed. Couldn't get Dave or Mr. Stillman down there to fix the window fast enough. So it was going to be after Easter to fix it. So my dad put a cardboard circle, perfect circle, and covered the window hole up in the air. And he taped it to the window so it covered the hole. Then he put another circle on top of that in the window, and he put 2 bunny ears on top of that. And he had whiskers coming out the back. And he wrote on the board, "This window was broken by my son. Now his butt hurts like a son of a gun." And I had that up there for Easter Sunday. And all the cars who parked on the street got to go to Mass. They all walked by and saw this big pink bunny. Because I think it was like cake board or whatever, cake boxes type thing that he had up there. This pink bunny. And they all saw it and they thought that was the cutest thing. And my friends saw it and oh my God, did I get ribbing on that in school. I just, oh.
But one of the things that I think about Dad, there are a lot of funny things about him, but I think about every year we made this pilgrimage down to Pebble Beach. Every year that there was the big Crosby tournament,
The clam bake, yeah.
the clam bake, we would go down to Pebble Beach. And we would start off down on the beach, and then Dad would find a way to sneak up onto the course so we wouldn't have to pay.
10th hole.
Huh?
On the 10th hole.
On the 10th hole,
You're exactly
okay.
right. Yep.
But you know, and we would spend the whole day with Mom down on the beach, you know, looking at the tide pools, doing whatever. And he'd be up on the golf course. I think my mother got the worst end of that whole thing. And
No,
then,
you took me to the golf course. That was the thing.
well, when you were older, but not early.
You're probably not early. You're probably right.
And then we would stop and buy artichokes,
That's right.
Castroville, on the way home. And
This guy
That was
walks into
always
a
fun.
tailor. And he goes, "I need a suit, but I don't have a lot of money." And the tailor goes, "I got the perfect suit for you." So he puts on the suit, and like one arm is like way longer than the other. And so the guy goes, "This arm's like way out here." And he goes, "Oh no, but if you wear your arm like this, it'll fit just perfectly." Okay. And he goes, and he looks in the mirror and goes, "But the neck's like way open here." You step back like this, it's gonna fit perfectly. Okay? So then he goes, but one leg over here is like way longer and shorter than the other one. He goes, well, if you walk like this, nobody will notice. So he goes, okay. So he buys a suit, he walks out, so he's going down the street. So these two ladies look at him going down the street. He goes, look at that poor man. I wonder what's wrong with him. The other woman goes, I don't know, but isn't that suit great?
After Mom passed away, Dad was kind of ready to date because Mom had been sick for a long time, so he pretty much, wanted to date maybe about a year after Mom died. So anyway, he put an ad in the paper, and come to find out, some of the ladies.
The Berkeley bar?
Well, some of the ladies that I was working with answered his ad.
Oh my God.
So I'm at a school and I find out that one of the teachers I'm working with is going out with Dad. I'm just going, oh my God, I work with her. And so I said to Dad, I said, okay, Dad, you have got to be on your best behavior. I mean, ultimate, just the most, he said, don't worry, I will be. I said, great, because I work with her. And then the next school I went to, he dated the nurse there.
He dated the librarian at Mitty.
Oh, did he?
And I was
He was a
That
dater.
was Sister Grace.
Really?
No, that was Mrs. Lemon.
Sister Grace.
Mrs. Lemon.
Married 3 times, had lots of dates in between.
My dad was a good date. Let me tell you, he treated women really well on dates. I know he did. But then what happened was the roles were reversed so that now Dad was bringing ladies home for us to meet. So, like, he brought one lady home, and Eileen and I are there, and we're just like, we're like interviewing her, like a parent would interview their son or daughter's date. We're going, oh, tell us about,
Pre-prom date kind of a thing.
Yeah, your work, and what you like
What's
to
your
do.
grade point average?
Yeah, and and there was some, with one lady, there was a box of See's chocolate on in the living room.
Oh, he was kissing up over his head.
And
He was looking good.
she was eating a lot of chocolate, and Eileen and I were watching her, and she wasn't giving us very much eye contact, so we told Dad, we said, no, Dad, she may be nice, but we just don't think she's going to really like us, so he wanted to make sure that whoever he married, we would like. Not that we had
So did he bring Betty home to you?
No, he didn't bring Betty home.
Oh.
Actually,
The whole interview
no, he
process.
did bring Betty home, and we liked her immediately.
Right.
I don't remember any of these
We liked her
interviews.
immediately.
Yeah, I've been told that I will have his qualities, and I think that's a big compliment
Dad's
anyone ever
driving,
hears.
was so traumatic that I put it out of my head because we would go on trips with him, and he had this motive, like, so he's driving and he's starting to drive, and then you see his eyelids kind of slowly
What's wrong with that?
closing.
What's wrong with
Slowly
this?
closing. And so we're watching him,
Yeah.
and then he goes over to the other lane without turning the
What's wrong with
without
that?
doing
I just don't understand.
And so we're trying to be really nice. So I'm saying, okay, Dad, Dad, and he would say, I'm fine. And I said, fine, but none of us would let him, even though it was traumatic to remind him, it would be more traumatic to get into an accident. But we were very glad when he thought about retiring up to Bend, Oregon, and we were really happy because he was going to retire to a golf community where he wouldn't have to drive. He could drive those little golf carts. And we thought that would be so great. Please go ahead and do that. Anything to get you off the road.
Time, wanted to go move up to Oregon. And Mom was she's like in between being sick different times. And I said, this is the stupidest thing you can do is go move to Oregon because you have no friends there. So I go up to the tavern, I said, let's go up and explore this.
Oh, I remember that.
So we go up and visit some golf courses, we play golf, and I'm driving back with him. So we play golf, we got up in the morning time, play golf, and we're driving home. And this is like anybody who's been up to Portland would understand the story. We're going along Lake up by Shasta Mountain, driving along, and Dad's driving first. I would say one other thing before him. I one time drove with Dad from here to Spokane, and Dad was falling asleep on Mission Boulevard. And I drove all the way to Spokane and all the way back, both of them on one day, at the time, because he couldn't stay awake. But so the sleep thing was an issue of it.
One day.
Just one day up there, then one day back, right? But he never drove again. But Mission Boulevard, this one before 680 went all the way through. You had to go drive through Mission San Jose. He was asleep at Mission San Jose. So we go up to this. I'm not really using my story up over. This is like I'm just tailing over here. So we're up in Bend. We're sort of driving back from Bend, Oregon, and I'm tired. And Dad goes, I'll take the first cruise over. Okay, that's good to call Dad. For some reason, I wake up, and we're coming down. So Mount Shasta, the highway there, 80 is like a 4-lane highway, 6-lane highway. Something bumps over here. He's crossed the divider, and he's driving on the wrong side of the road where there's a barricade. And I wake up, and I reach for the wheel, and I'm like trying to drive like this. Dad, yeah. I said, Dad, we're on the wrong side of the road. Just pay attention, because I think we can get back to where we need to be. And so he goes, I'm pulling over. And I said, no, actually the opening's right over here, we can get back over here. And he goes, so literally, I mean, like, they're sitting there saying, oh my God.
I remember that.
That it was like, yes. So no Bend, Oregon, his driving was as bad as mine probably now is these days.
Or what did the man say when he fell out the window? Right down.
He's on his deathbed, and Monsignor Walsh comes over. They kind of give him last rites. You might have been in there. And he comes to Monsignor Walsh, says, this guy come in and like commission you to go to heaven. And he looks at Monsignor Walsh and he goes, your sweater's shrinking a little bit these days, isn't it?
One of the things was, I remember when I was pregnant with Brian, it was a week before he was born. And it was my birthday, and when I came home from work, and everybody, I mean, all of my siblings and Dad, had come to the house to fix me dinner after work, so I wouldn't have to fix dinner. And I thought it was so nice. I was so tired. And so I sat in the living room, and everybody was doing whatever in the kitchen.
Do we have plastic on our furniture store?
It was in my house.
Oh, okay.
And I just decided I was going to ignore whatever was happening out there. I just didn't care. I was too tired. And I remember I got up to go in to eat, and Dad had come in to get me.
We took it out of that.
And I got up off the sofa, and he looked at me and he goes, my God, Maureen, you're as big as a house.
We have now, it's a little dusty, a little old, we have the trophy for the last person who got married. So Brian and Lindsay get to have this. Yes, God, it was me. You can understand the brass.
I saved you.
Yeah, it's a little dusty, a little dirty. Let's not over here. That this was like a little trophy from the Red Reno that's going to have on it one of these days, but even it's a little covering over here, the most recently married couple.
Derek,
Does Vegas count?
Derek, you're going to have this for a long
What about remarriages? Remarriages count, actually. Most recently married. So you can go 3 or 4 times. So Elaine, I might get this next over here. But by the end of today, and you guys leave, and she goes, why, how come you're such a jerk, Mike? And we may be able to get there. But this goes to Brian. Now, I want you to know, it took me lots of years to get this amount of dust and dirt on here. So you can't clean it.
What is the original? Is that
The
red?
original thing over here, this is good, that's a good question. So the original thing,
What does this say? Why did, I'm a little confused.
the original thing said the Reverend Father Andrew Delaney, Bernard Red Current State Championship. So they won the state golf championship in Eureka, California. We have achieved it. He won the state championship.
Eureka, California.
But this is not the state, in our world, the state championship is actually having somebody who wants to marry you. So it's like, you know, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't go really to the spouse, you attracted somebody. So this is Brian's trophy. Lindsay might claim part of the credit over here. But it is,
Did you claim the 2 balls?
I don't know, I don't want to go there.
And the reason why it's so dusty, Mike,
She goes over there.
I remember where that was stored for many, many years. The garage up on the little shelf right
The trophy rack.
The trophy room, which is actually a garage.
I remember that in this one.
Yeah, the car was
I remember that.
yeah, right up there.
You won the state golf championship, that's huge.
Yeah, so you displayed it in your garage.
It was all around the rafter.
We just changed it around to Brian, we have to figure
I don't
something to Brian.
understand the relationship between that sign and the.
Nothing at all. So I'm right now 64 years of age. And so when I was 27, 28, my dad was probably about 64 years of age. I'm just trying to think 64, 65, around that range. And I had a baseball game that night that Dad was going to come out and see. And Steve will appreciate this a little bit because he's like getting longer in tooth about playing baseball. But with the team I played with at that time, they had been called in their college years the Cocaine Blues, not for any reason at all, mind you. But the Cocaine Blues moved from semi-pro fast pitch softball to just fast pitch softball, and I played with them during some of this time. So it was a fast pitch league, and I was a pitcher. And I was like the slowest pitcher on it. When we show up, my dad's coming out. It's by that park right behind Mitty High School, over by 280.
John Moore.
Mine.
So we go there
Mine.
under the lights. My dad shows up, and we only have, which is another problem with the Cocaine Blues, which is the same with the Hot Hypnotize. We only had 8 players, and so we recruit my dad to play right field. So my dad must have been pretty close to my age. I was just doing the math today. So I'm thinking he's 64 years of age, going out playing fast pitch with most of a team that had been semi-professional baseball players, and he gets up 3 times, strikes out once, hits twice, gets to first base twice, plays right field, catches 1 ball, misses 2 or 3, but so did I. But it was like, what I thought of an affirmation, because I would not have thought about it then. He was a really good athlete.
Yeah, he was.
And that was the point. You lose sight of that because he's your dad, he's old. He was a really, really good athlete. He's my age, playing fast pitch baseball, which he hadn't seen a baseball pitched to him in 30 years, and able to.
Wasn't he all city Detroit in?
It was all Detroit football and basketball.
There you go.
For I think 6 years.
How many times did he break his
Six years
nose?
high school for a while.
But Detroit's gone to the pot after that.
You know, when you have 3 years experience going out, when you're freshman, you're 18 years old, your freshman year.
I'm going to do this until I get it right.
Cheers to everyone getting together and making things like this important, because kids are really fun, and that's how people's memories live on.
Good job.
Cheers.
Cheers to the hosts too.
Cheers to the hosts.
All the hosts.
Yes, and to Mike's perseverance in getting this thing going.
Elaine
Without Mike,
also.
this would not would have happened. Elaine, thank you very much.
She was only a fireman's daughter, but how she could roll her hose.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
It's nice to hear.